Hey guys, welcome back to the land of books, movies, canes, and compression socks. As I bring you a new upload each week as I continue to try and heal from neuropathy. All good times. Alright, I have a bit of a controversial one for you, and a controversial reminder that people suck and life isn't fair. It is called The Slap, published in 2008, and there are two adaptations. One Australian and one American, and it's the Australian one that I'm focusing on today. The book and the miniseries observe the same format. One episode focusing on each character as they go about their business with a slap at the forefront of their minds. The show has 8 episodes, and the book has 8 chapters, even though there are more than 8 characters, but there are 8 ones at the forefront of this. Anyway, each character is visited in the exact same order from book to show. The book, though, really dives deep into the innermost thoughts of each character in a way that narration and imagined scenarios kind of fall short on. Starting with Hector, who in the book wakes up breaking wind in bed and thinking primal thoughts on his 40th birthday. In the show, he wakes up thinking about his encounter with Connie, and the episode continues, just like they're an everyday family. And the book details this absolutely elaborate feast his wife is preparing for his birthday, and it looks just as good as we see her hard at work in the kitchen. And then the party begins, and almost right away we are confronted with Hugo. And for a little kid actor, he does a knockout job at giving the audience a headache, as does his mother, Rosie, whose talent also does a knockout job, just as well as in the book, at being nauseating, with her nursing a 3-year-old and having one excuse after another for what a little shit he is. But more on Rosie later, as we get to why this book and this show exist. Equally detailed from book to show is the cricket game gone awry when Hugo throws his tantrum and is swinging that cricket bat at the older kids, prompting Harry to intervene and almost get kicked in the stones, which brings about his knee-jerk reaction slap that starts this whole family meltdown. And everyone's immediate reaction from book to movie is spot on. Alright, in the second chapter, we focus on the glamorous Anouk, a TV writer with a much younger movie star boyfriend. And in the book, she's all about this life she's built for herself. In fact, Anouk's chapter in the show gives us a little insight as to how 3 such different women can be friends. They had been friends since college, and time and different paths haven't disrupted that. But this slap does for a moment when the 3 of them argue their views on it, as Rosie is pressing charges and just expects everyone to give a statement that more or less supports her. The only real disparities between her chapter from book to show is that when she finds out she's pregnant, in the book she terminates without a moment's hesitation. In the show, she thinks it through a little and wonders just for a moment if it might be her only chance because of her age. She's also, only in the show, preoccupied with having seen Hector and Connie in a compromising moment. The third chapter and episode is about Harry, the deliverer of the titular slap. And here is a big surprise conveyed from book to show. Harry is a wife beater, and everything else is pretty much the same. The only disparities are what his inner monologue tells us in the book, that he imagines taking that cricket bat and bashing in the skulls of Rosie, Gary, and Hugo. And in the show, the narration describes just how he looks down on this family as a bunch of, trailer trash. And there is also a brief imagined scenario in the show of him beating the crap out of Gary when he goes to try and defuse this by apologizing to Rosie, and also a brief glimpse of this inner rage at his automotive business when he catches one of his mechanics stealing. Chapter and episode 4 is about Connie. She is Aisha's assistant, Hugo's babysitter, and Hector's secret girlfriend. But she was at that party, she saw it happen, and it changes just how she looks at this family that she both works with and socializes with. Chapter 5 is Rosie's chapter, and mostly her home life wrapped around Hugo, while Gary is drunk all the time. It also focuses on her day in court, and between book and show, this chapter does very well to make Rosie, Gary, and especially Hugo absolutely nauseating, and the narration throws in a little icing on that cake by downgrading them as just the very societal leeches that Harry sees them as. And surprisingly enough, it's this family whom at the end of this miniseries sticks together and has a happy ending. Chapter 6 focuses on Manalise, Hector's father, who is watching things come apart with his family since the slap, and at the same time, in the book, he misses the passion that he and his wife once shared, and revisits at the end of this chapter, only in the book. The added layer in the show is at a funeral when he looks at the people around him and sees just this bunch of dinosaurs. And later on, he has this jealous fit when one of his, equally old friends brags on his affair with a sexy young mistress who takes better care of him than his own family. They fist fight, and Manly stumbles off drunk in the night to try and reclaim his youth. He dances in the street in front of a bunch of laughing teenagers, and also stumbles into a brothel to reclaim a little more youth in more than one capacity. Chapter 7 is Aisha's chapter, and it's pretty much a close match. She is now aware of what transpired between Hector and Connie, and recalls a night of passion she had with another man some time ago, while Hector was at home with the kids. And sadly, their story doesn't have a happy ending in either book or show. The 8th and last chapter focuses on Richie, who is Connie's best friend. And his chapter is also a close match from book to show, as Connie opens up to him about what transpired between herself and Hector. It gets to Gary's ears, and he decides to add Drama King to his repertoire in addition to Drunk and Ne'er-Do-Well by dragging the whole gang to Aisha's clinic to throw it in her face, which also really ruins things for Connie. But then, Richie himself finds himself in a similar situation to Harry's, only in the book, where while he's taking Hugo for a walk, the little monster spits on an old man, and then plays victim as Richie takes him by the arm and quickly walks him back home, only to be vilified by the lying little worm and have an apology dragged out of him by Rosie. And that is where the book ends. The show ends with the happy ending for Rosie, Gary, and Hugo that I mentioned earlier. But I am not done with this story. One reason why I wanted to get into this one was something like this actually happened in my family. So gather around, it's time for a bedtime story. To protect the innocent and keep the guilty from blowing up my DM, all names and genders will be withheld. And the cast of the story will be identified as follows. First, we have the hitter, the offending parent who threw hands in this piece. Second is the golden child, the one who was largely favorited in the family. Third, the tiger parent and parent of the golden child. Fourth, the test cake, the oldest child of the hitter and same gender cousin of the golden child, who is mostly marginalized and compared unfavorably to the golden child. Fifth is the screamer, younger sibling of the test cake. And sixth is the doormat, the more passive parent to the test cake and the screamer. And now for the story. It was a bright and sunny day. perfect for the whole family to hang out and watch the kids play. And blowing bubbles is the chosen activity. In a brief moment of getting carried away, the golden child splashes the screamer in the face with that bubble formula, and the stinging soap in his eyes makes them do their thing, shriek like a banshee. Said scream brought the hitter running, who quickly assessed the situation and reacted, giving the golden child a couple of swats, whose resulting screams brought the tiger parent running in defense of the golden child and threatening legal action. On the sidelines, the doormat does nothing, while the test cake observes from a distance and thinks, okay, point taken, so they're beyond reproach, and I'm a piece of garbage. This moment had been revisited 10 or so years later in conversation between the golden child and the test cake, as the golden child laments that they had no right to hit me. I had nightmares from that. And the test cake says, you know, your one day in hell was my everyday life. And that is enough about the slap. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to help me grow this channel with your likes, comments, subscribes, and checking out my sponsor in the comments. And I will see you back next week.